Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Strong language, powerful factions, and adventures across the third horizon await. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I am your storyteller this evening. My name is Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and I have a wonderful story awaiting you. I need the help of some of our fantastic cast members, which we'll get to in just a moment. But if you'd like to learn more about the Old Ways Podcast, the podcast you're listening to, you can find that out at theoldwayspodcast.com. If you'd like a way to support the show, you can do so by just subscribing to YouTube and maybe sharing one of these wonderful episodes that you're listening to. If you'd like to further support the show, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. And for all sorts of future episodes, you'll be not only hearing us, but perhaps seeing us. You never know when that could happen. And now we'll get to cast introductions, which will begin to my right.
This is Morgan. I play Captain Amara Casra. Our pronouns are she, her, and they aren't locked in this place with me. I'm locked in here with them.
That is very, very true. Next to the captain.
Hi, this is Ali, and I play Kainat Gala. Both of our pronouns are she, her, and if I'm going to be locked up in any place, this is exactly the place I want to be.
Cold, dusty, and full of old things?
Yeah. The older, the better.
Fair enough. That's an interesting way to put it. At the end of the table.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Fida, ship's mechanic. We both use the he, him pronoun. I don't have regrets right now, but I'm sure they will come in the near future.
There's time. We'll get there. Promise. Next to Fida.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamarisk and Vari. We both use the pronouns they, them. And I guess I'm going to be looking at more creepy statues.
Well, I mean, it's in the wheelhouse, right? That's the important part. Last and most certainly not least.
Hello, I am Rosie, she, her of Odd Duck Dice, and I am playing Icarus, the pilot of the Periphery. Also she, her, and she would vehemently not so much disagree with the captain, but ask, yeah, but who is them? Who is locked down here with you? Because I don't want to be, but if you think there's someone else here, you should tell me about them, please.
I think she's referring to the crew, but I also like the vagueness of the statement because it gives me a little space to perhaps inject some injections to that statement. So we raise the curtain tonight in a space which has just politely shut the door. Not with anyone's direct asking, but perhaps it's just being polite. Not to let all the sand in, of course. We are back on Menkar underground now, investigating in a structure which seems very old, which seems very strange, I think is the best word for it. Strange sculptures on the walls, strange sculptures on the floor, which somehow open windows. And just a general uneasiness about what is down here. And to top all that off, there were footprints in this place. And they sort of have, over time, disappeared. So, we'll start with Icarus, who's just been in that little space there by those doors that shut. And I wonder if she might be a little bit more, well, willing to move deeper in now, as there's no way to get back out, seemingly.
I mean, she's going to try those doors first and inform the rest of the crews over comms that they are closed now, and she doesn't like it. So she does not have force. So my assumption is that she's going to stomp over to those doors and ineffectually push and do a lot of swearing.
Yes, I think that is an excellent picture to paint. You put your shoulder into it, you bang on it, and you realize these doors are super heavy. And even with all your weight against them and your heels dug in, you can't seem to budge these doors.
At which point, has she heard back from the rest of the crew over comms?
Not as of yet. But they do hear that message, just to be clear.
Yeah, Fighter awkwardly looks at the captain and looks at Kainat, looks at the statue he just moved, reaches down, and is just like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, I look at Fida. Don't touch anything else.
Yes, Captain. Just saying, though. This one opens the windows. You can always go out the windows. And he, goes over to the windows, and he's, putting his hand against them. He's like, oh, there's a glass. That might be an issue.
So Icarus will head down that hallway, and she is not happy about it.
It doesn't take you very long, maybe 8, 9 steps, give or take, to find them in the room that they're in, at least most of them. You do notice out of the peripheral of your vision, Icarus, that Tamarisk is in another room looking at a very strange sculpture that's against the wall. It has 4 arms.
And now muttering, footsteps coming in, no footsteps going out.
That's not helping. That is not helping me right now. Why doesn't that one have a head?
Oh, I don't know. Don't know why it has 4 arms either.
Well, I mean, the 4 arms isn't that worrisome. People get that sort of mod, whatever. But the head missing, you need a head.
It's a little disturbing, yes. Don't know what's more disturbing, the missing head or the footsteps coming in and the no footsteps going out and the doors are closed. Tamarisk looks a little jittery.
What about you promise not to repeat that over and over again, and I promise something.
Why don't we go find the others?
They're right over there.
Yeah, we should do that. There's no doors to this room, but, just in case.
You cross the hall, you see Fida, Kainat, and the captain in a room that has an array of floor sculptures, little square columns. They seem to be built onto different rails throughout the room. I'm going to give this one to you sort of as no need to roll, Tamarisk. Your ability to read people is really good. And Fida did something wrong. He is being way too... Well, the light of innocence is on him far too heavily. As if he's projecting it onto himself in hopes others will also see him as an innocent party.
Fida, what did you do?
Oh, well, the first thing I did was I pushed this statue and I opened some windows.
How did you close the door, Fida?
I think it's because I moved this statue. And he points to the second one. He's just like, have you ever seen a dog that knows it's done wrong? That level of promise you won't be mad.
Can you move it back and open the door, please?
See, that's interesting, because I tried that with the first one and they don't move back along the rails, but let's try it with this one, just in case. He's like, nope, doesn't budge.
So let me get this straight, Fida, darling. You knew that you couldn't reverse things once you did them, and you still moved another one.
I wanted to see what it did. This one closes the door. Mike, a quick question. Does this rail continue on so that there's further states for this statue to cause?
No.
Oh, okay. He's like, well, this one's just a binary switch, so don't worry about it. But it's not really a binary switch. It's just an off. I wonder if this is like a quarantine button.
No. Stop. Don't touch anything else. May I request that before we fuck with any more of these really creepy statues that are for some reason on the floor...
And that's where you usually put a statue.
May I request that we go back and try to open that door again? Because I can't do it.
You folks pushed that door open, right? It opened inward.
Yeah.
That's going to be a lot harder to pull inward, is all I'm saying.
So can you guys, do that before we go further into the deep, dark, creepy tunnels?
I mean, we can try, but the door's still going to be there when we're done looking through this place.
And we might find another way out.
I mean, think of it this way. The door is just an incentive to find another way out. And besides, there's that set of footsteps that come in and don't go out, so unless we find a body, and he kind of is like, it'll be great. There's got to be a way out, unless we find the body, in which case...
Not helping.
I'm a criminal street urchin that grew up in a jungle. How am I the one that is least concerned about this?
Probably because I haven't really accepted that I'm gonna die here.
Nobody's dying.
Exactly. We're all gonna get out. It's gonna be a fun story to tell over drinks.
Yes. Kinda, did you look at the other room?
I glanced at it. I didn't go investigate it. This has a lot more in it.
What did the other room have in it?
Just a statue.
Did you touch it?
No. I didn't even go in there. I just looked in.
Oh.
It's a headless statue with 4 arms.
So you touched it.
I didn't touch it. I looked at it.
Well, let's go look at it again and see if there's anything in there that you can push, pull, touch, any panels. Vida?
There's this long pause because I look back out towards the hallway and I'm like, I want to go down there though. I don't say this out loud, but the exploring part of needing to know all of the secrets of this place have me very much in a, but shiny things.
It's not shiny. It's a deep, dark hallway with no light in it.
Very shiny to an archaeologist, though.
All right, do you and Fido want to go down the hall and explore the unexplored part?
Sure, split up while we're stuck in here and all the footprints that went off in different directions. Sure, this sounds great. This is great. This is fine. Nothing's going to go wrong. We're totally fine.
And Fido, one of his big shovel hands on Tamara's shoulder, and he's like, yeah, that's right. Nothing's gonna go wrong, and we're gonna get out, and it'll be fine.
Hey, storyteller.
Yes, kinda. How can I help you?
With the raised voices, does it echo?
This room echoes a little bit, not too much. Again, the ceilings in this room are probably about 12 feet. The room itself is also likely about 15 by, say, 25. It's actually a pretty long room.
And what about the people standing in the hallway?
Oh, does it echo? No, there's enough interior spaces. They're not really being too loud.
All right, well, that kills my idea of we'll just shout if we need people. Because if it's muffling the sound, it's probably not good.
Every person in the group has a communicator. There are also some rather powerful comms here. Like the captain has a pretty powerful comm link.
I'm up for it if you are, Vida.
I'm game. And he turns to the captain. He's like, I promise I won't touch anything.
Yes, please don't touch anything. Please. Tamarisk, do you want to go with them?
Might as well. I've already looked at this creepy statue. I don't particularly care for looking at it again. It's somewhat disturbing. Not exactly the sort of thing I'd put in my quarters.
All right, and then Icarus, do you want to come with me?
That depends on where you're going.
We're going to go check out the other room a little more thoroughly, and the rest are going to go down the hall to places unknown, but it's down the hall.
I'll stick with you so that at least if you die, you don't die alone.
And I appreciate that sentiment. All right, well, everybody be cautious, be aware, don't touch anything. As I look over at Vida.
At least this room's getting warmer. There's that. We've got a nice sunroom now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought that was my blood pressure going up.
No. The window seems to be letting in more heat.
Okay. So, Vida, you and Kainat are going to go check out the forearm statue?
No, that's me and Icarus going to see the statue.
We're going down the hall.
Okay. And then, Tamarisk, you're staying with Vida and Kainat, or are you staying here?
I'm staying with Vida and Kainat.
Okay. So, a split party. The best kind, really. So, we'll take the further adventures down the hall. Kainat, you and Vida walk basically until you get to the hallway separating, which it does in a couple of different ways, 2 ways specifically. In the short term, it goes left, while then still continuing to go deeper into the building. And then just after that, it will go right before continuing to go deeper into the building. So really the question is what path are you going to choose to take? You have 3, right, to the left, continuing on the path left, or you can go deeper into the building, or you can go right and see what that provides you.
Well, I know that to the right there was a closed door, and to the left it was an open doorway.
That's correct.
So I'm gonna... How tall are you, Vida?
Vida's like 6'4".
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna tug on you so that you bend down.
He's just like, do you need something, or?
I need you to touch something.
Now, technically, I was told specifically not to.
Yes, but I need you to open that door.
And he looks at Tamarisk and he's like...
No, this is quiet enough that I'm hoping Tamarisk doesn't hear.
He's just like, I mean, what could go wrong with opening a door? We haven't seen any others. So he's just gonna try it. See if it... But one, does it have a latching mechanism on this side?
Okay, so let's be clear. You're heading down and then to the right. Is that correct? Kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we're going to open the door.
So you don't really go terribly far. You go maybe 10, 15 feet deeper into the complex here, and then you take a right, and then the door is another 10 or so feet. It's not terribly far. The door, when you approach it, does have what looks like almost like an airlock style circle near the mid to low left. And it looks like, just from your mechanical view, Vida, it looks like it either turns clockwise or counterclockwise, one of the two. You might have to pull it out, but it looks like a gear that you could grab there's a handle there you could grab and possibly turn it left or right.
Yeah, so it's more like a crank than a valve handle style, what we'd usually have.
Right.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to try and turn it clockwise to see how much give or, does it move at all? Is this active?
Yeah, you grab hold of it and you realize a couple of things because you're fairly sharp. This gear, handle, is pretty large. But when you grab it and give, a little bit of force to it, you feel, yeah, there's some give here. It pulls out a little bit and then turns. You can sort of feel the tension until it clicks. As you probably turn it about 45 degrees. And then you feel like you could release it.
He's actually more curious than anything else. So he's going to let it go and see if it snaps back in or if it's going to hold its own position, see if it winds back at all.
When you sort of give it a little less strength, right, it does seem to want to slip back into the door.
He drives it home in the 45-degree position mark.
Okay.
Vida! You're not supposed to touch anything.
That was my fault.
The door opens.
He's just like, in my defense, I figured since I trapped us, to some extent, it is my responsibility to try and find a way out.
The door opens. You are bathed in a beautiful amber light. In the center of this room, the room, by the way, is probably about 10 by 15, and it doesn't make a complete rectangle. It goes around. There seems to be a corner. As you glance in the room, you see the back corner there extends a little bit, like perhaps the room continues. But what draws your immediate attention, somewhat directly, is this massive piece of crystal that's in the center of the room, and it dangles from the ceiling. I'd say the crystal piece is about 7 to 8 feet tall. It's about 2 feet wide, and it is irregularly cut. It hangs from some type of holder at the top near the ceiling that looks like metal after it's made molten and spread. So it is irregular, and it sort of looks like it's been molded to it.
Yeah, it's not been machined to fit or anything.
No.
They did the crudest possible way of making a flush fitting piece for this.
That same sort of metallic material extends out in a crude starburst pattern on the top of the ceiling. And the crystal's alight, hanging there.
I don't suppose either of you know what that is.
No. That looks like something we shouldn't touch.
Right. Do not touch, please.
Not until everyone else is here, and then we can touch it.
I'll only touch the crystal with the captain's approval.
Right. Well, wait. Let's go the other way.
Before we do, I would like to see if this is an L-shaped room like I suspect it is, or if it's... He's got his hands up and he's looking at Tamarisk as he's going across, and he's just like, I'm just checking.
You move across to check.
You're going to set off a trap.
And as you do, Fida, you are bathed in a more direct amber beam from this crystal. So the ambient light that it seems to be shining into these spaces and sort of illuminating the cracks and crevices there of this room, it focuses into one facet of the crystal and you get hit with this light directly. It bathes your entire body head to toe in this light. And for a moment, there are 0 reactions. There's no burning, singeing pain.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, your skeleton doesn't burn out of your body.
That's also positive.
And then your forearm starts to hurt.
Oh, jeez.
Real bad. And so you'll be down a single die in any strength or force related challenges. You hit the ground. You go to your knees from the pain that it hits you with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to do 2 points of mental damage to you.
Yep, sounds about right, Mike.
And now you can all react to that. Oh, and feel free, Fida, to tell us, the listeners, what your reactions.
Fida's reaction is to, as you said, fall to his knees and then cry out in pain. Oh, God! I can't why.
Is the light still focused on him when he falls like that?
It does focus on him for probably about 2 to 3 heartbeats. So likely the time at which it takes you to react and to see it and to understand and get his reaction. And then it stops, like the beam goes back into the crystal and then illuminates the room again.
Yeah, and Fida's then kind of crawling on his forearms, on his elbows and knees, because he doesn't want to put his forearms on the ground in case it hurts more. So he's like crawling on his hinges towards the doorway, and he's like, maybe it doesn't matter that much.
When you get up to sort of turn and to go back, you do see that you are right. This is an L-shaped room, and that there is a door at the other end of that L.
That's great. Vida is now just like, good news. There's another door inside. It's wonderful. It's everything I thought and more.
Wait, is it a door or a doorway?
It's a door.
Okay. Get back here.
After he's crawled out, he's just like on his knees, shaking. He's kind of limp-wristed. He's holding them up in front of him like a mantis claws, and he's just kind of shaking a little bit. He's just like, that really hurt. And he's like testing his fingers in case that they all work. And he's just like, I don't think there's any nerve damage, but it hurts so much. It hurt worse than having my arm broken. It just hurt. It was pain. Because it was the forearms, he looks at his tattoos to see if they've done the thing again.
No, your tattoos seemingly have not moved.
Oh, that's something.
So which way what side of the room was this door on?
And he kind of looks at her like she's stupid.
Why not?
He's like, it was that way, past the glowing crystal. And then he looks up at the ceiling and he's like, is that what that means? He looks at the burst of rays coming out from it, and he's like, I guess. He's like, it's in there to the side and then back.
If we absolutely have to drag ourselves through this and it causes problems for all of us, I just want to know essentially where that is. So if we have to go through this room, then at least there's another way to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason I ask, because if that room did that to you, what's it going to do to the rest of us? Are the rest of us exempt from that? Or do we just have to pray and hope that nothing bad happens?
I'm not going through there.
And what if there's a giant monsters chasing us.
Then we let the giant monster run in through there, and it can get stuck in the glowing light and get whatever happened to Fida.
Okay, so glowing lights aside, Icarus, you and the captain are in a room with a statue attached to the wall. That statue is the powerfully built upper body of what looks like some type of humanoid creature. It has two very large, powerful arms, and then underneath it, it has two smaller arms. There's no head.
I'd like to look around the room, examine the walls, see if there's any panels, buttons, things to push.
Yeah, you can go ahead and make me a wits observation roll, both of you, if you're going to choose to explore the room.
And then I'll come over to the statue. But first things first, just say wits observation.
I did.
Well, I got 4 1s and a 4. Yeah, I got nothing. Nada.
2 successes.
So there is something to the left of the statue on a different wall that is sort of interesting. And what you see, Icarus, are tiny little triangles. It could be any sort of decorative mosaic tile, but these specifically have a little pattern that they call out on the wall here. It's, we'll say, a pattern that's probably 4 inches wide, 8 inches long. It creates a rectangle. And you just pick it out of all the rest of the tile work that's in here. This is very specific. Also, now that you mention it to yourself, the decoration that's here, the limited amount of embellishment that's been done in this place, it lends you to believe that this place maybe is not about, it's more about being something that's purpose-built. You don't know what that purpose is, but there's no artistry in this room. It's mostly blank walls, except for a few pieces here and there of tile work. This is one of them, and it just seems a little out of place.
Are the tiles raised, or is it just a very obvious pattern?
Yeah, this is just a very obvious pattern.
Captain?
I look over at Icarus while I'm trying to feel up a wall that has nothing on it.
I'm going to touch something, and I wanted to let you know before I did in case something actually happens. And she puts her hand in the middle of that rectangular pattern, praying that nothing actually happens, and she just looks like an idiot.
You put your hand in that space, and you don't get any immediate reaction out of it. You do hear in the room static for a minute, almost like radio static. And then out of the neck of this statue, a blue glow arrives and a head appears, a hooded one.
What the fuck?
I already had my pistol out. I train it onto the hooded figure.
A fairly featureless face beneath the hood stares into the room. The head doesn't move left or right or up and down. It just stares directly ahead.
Icarus's first thought is that this is probably an interface of some sort. So she leaves her hand in that rectangle and says, in the direction of the cloaked head, "Hello.
Budobu.
What is your purpose? Where are we?"
Ichiboto.
Okay, then. She takes her hand away from the and says, "I think we need Kaina."
Yeah, but they're down the hall. So I pull out my tabula.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have any language integration?
You probably have faction language, right? So each faction likely has their own slang based around the different culture that exists within the faction. But that's not basic, whatever it's talking.
All right. Well, was that a whole body or was it just a head?
It's just the head that came sort of holographically into existence. The rest of the body is still sort of affixed to the wall.
Okay.
The hands have not moved. The arms have not moved. Nothing structurally on the sculpture has moved.
So I figure we can either call the rest of the crew here to also be baffled, or we can record some of it so that if we make it out of here, we can see if we can find a database or something to compare it to if we don't die.
The statue says, "What do you seek?"
She probably goes, "Shala! Oh. Whew." She puts her hand to her chest, breathes out, and says, "Hello."
Are you going to say anything else, Icarus?
No, I'm not.
Hello. Who are you? Or what are you?
Greetings. I am the director.
Well, that doesn't sound ominous. I am Captain Castra of the Periphery.
It doesn't react to your title or
What is your purpose?
to direct, inform.
What is this place?
This is a holding center.
Like a prison?
What is...
A prison is like a jail. You put miscreants away from the general population.
No, this is not an exclusion zone.
What do you hold?
Manufacturing parts.
Of machines or of people?
What kind of question is that?
I'm just getting the specifics.
So just so we're clear for the other group in the other room, given that Icarus is a little, we'll just say loud, you're all going to hear a very excited Icarus from down the hall. Especially if you're done watching Fighting at Death Raid.
It's hard to tell if that's good or bad.
All I know is it's not here.
No, that's fair.
Icarus gets excited about everything, but considering where we are, maybe we should go see what she's reacting to. Might be something interesting for you, Kainat.
Yeah, but there's a... Okay.
I don't think it's going anywhere. He's kind of leaning on against the wall. He's got the cold sweats. He's just like, I don't think that thing's going. It looks like it's pretty well held in place.
And I'll be the last one to follow, and I take a longing look over at that other way with the doorway that I haven't gotten to look in yet. And I'll trudge along, sad. My plans have been thwarted.
So put upon.
You head back to the other room with the four-armed statue in it. There's a head on that statue now, Tamarisk. Where did it get the head from?
So I touch this thing, and it's an interface.
Why is everybody touching things?
I told the captain I was doing it before I did it.
Where did the head come from?
It's a hologram. It seems to somehow understand what we're saying and be willing to answer some of our questions. I'm assuming it's sort of like, when Rakam makes a face and talks to you, it's like a interface. Except it's also a head, so it's an interface.
No. Nope. Nope. No. No. No.
All right, so this is the director, and they are saying that this is a holding center for manufactured parts. However, I am still unsure if that is human parts or non-human parts.
I mean, what makes you think they make humans? He just kind of looks at the captain like, geez, I thought I had bad ideas. He turns to me, he's like, so you can understand me?
The head, for the first time, turns slightly. It's a little distressing to see. Because keep in mind, the head is, again, a mostly featureless face with a hood over it. It turns towards you, Fida, and says, a builder. Welcome.
What is the crystal down in... and he describes the route, basically like down the hall and to the right.
Yes. Sustenance. Many of our builders, such as yourselves, require the crystal's energy to overcome the need for common sustenance.
Thank you. And he turns to the captain. He's like, Captain, I don't think that whatever they are is exactly like what we are.
Why did he call you a builder?
I make stuff.
The captain has a skeptical look on her face,
As does Icarus.
but decides to file that away for future discussion.
Oh, no. Icarus is going to talk about this now. Icarus says, wait, so you think it just heard your voice and realized you're an engineer? Is there some weird inflection that I've been missing this entire time?
Oh, no, but I've got tools on my belt. And he points to his tool roll. He's like, and also it's a weird super advanced hologram head. What do you want?
So many things that are not happening right now.
It's basically magic. Painful magic. And he just kind of looks at the floor. Just like, I don't feel so good.
Yeah, I look at the director. What were the race of humans called that created this center?
What are humans?
I've been asking myself that for 33 years. Is there other information that you can give us about this place or about yourself or about the race of people that work here?
I could provide many pieces of information. Where would you like to begin?
I look at the group.
How do we get out of here?
The facility is sealed for protection from the outside. Many of the previous structures in this area became unstable, and the sand is detrimental to the work that we are doing here. And so the doors seal themselves as a precaution.
Okay, but how do I get out? Because nothing is being manufactured here at the moment, and we're eventually going to need to leave.
A builder may open the door at any time.
Looks at Fida.
He's just like, is there an interface to open the door?
The face turns, again, only to look at Fida. And the director says, "Device? You are the device." I see the imprint, and the director's face glows just a little bit. And John, you get scanned again by two blue-white beams that eventually land on your arm where your tattoos are. And that's when you see them start to move.
Oh, jeez. Oh, not again. And he's just like, "Gambler, please. I don't need this today." Are they hurting as they move?
Strangely, they are not.
I am the interface, correct?
You are a builder. You may access any door in the facility. There are 2,157 jobs to process.
I will need more builders. Are there any tasks in process that would hinder opening the doors?
No.
Excellent. Thank you.
If you require more builders, you will have to make them.
That one makes Fida kind of look around at the captain like, and just gives a small little nod of the head being like, "Okay, I guess I was wrong. Duly noted. Thank you, Director."
The head disappears.
Fida just like crumples down and he's like, oh, that was terrifying.
So during that conversation, I was standing basically in the hallway watching it. Did that head look like my head?
No.
Oh, good. That means that I won't have any questions asked.
I don't really know what he means, but I can try and figure out these doors and stuff and have a good look at them. See if there's, I don't know, maybe it checks brain structures or something. And he's just like, maybe it just sensed that I've got a brain for numbers and engineering and stuff.
It might also just be the thing on your arm.
I have perfectly normal tattoos. Cheap ink from a bottom tier tattooist up on Coriolis Station probably isn't.
But they were hurting, right? When the crystals did whatever it did, so maybe it activated something.
He called it sustenance.
Oh my God, you're the interface. You're a battery. It's power source. And she's bouncing on like the balls of her feet. And she's like staring at you. It's like, "Show me this crystal."
And he's like, "Oh, okay."
And wait, when we met, you said something about a glowing lady.
He nods.
Like that? Like that? Something, you know?
I mean, just because two things glow doesn't mean they're the same thing.
No, but the glowing lady is presumably why our employer, who's now dead, our employer decided that we needed you. Yes, I do. It's terrifying.
If it was sustenance, maybe it won't do it a second time.
Or maybe you still need to be recharged.
I really hope not. And he kind of just looks down at the ground. He's just like, I really hope I do not need to be charged further.
But that means there's a system. And that's something that we can figure out.
Sure. Again, it's probably mostly mechanical. I mean, the door to that area was, and he kind of trails off and he's like looking at the captain like, door to that area was, and he's just like, uh-oh.
So there was a door by where the crystal is?
There's another door on the other side of the crystal.
Can we go around the crystal in that room, or do we have to go through that light?
It's a pretty, I mean, it's, and he gives you the rough dimensions, and he's like, I mean, you can go around it, but it can direct its light like a beam, so...
Yeah.
It might just hit me. He kind of looks down, he's like, disappointing. But I'm willing to try again to see if we can get past it and find...
Well, we are going to have a conversation about your arm and being a builder and some glowing lady when we are safely back on the ship at some point.
To be fair, I did tell you about the glowing lady the first time we met.
That was a long time ago.
It was. It feels like many months, even though we've only been together for a few weeks.
So let's go back to that room?
And he's just like, yeah, let's go back to that room.
And how about one of us goes through the light first? Or put our hand in it?
He's like, well, I mean, you can just walk around the crystal. It's only like 2 feet wide.
Oh, okay.
Even at its widest part. It's just that, you know, it's tall. It's like it's taller than me. And it just hangs from the ceiling. It's weird.
All right. Let's do that. Builder.
He's kind of like, I don't know if I like being called builder.
Okay, so you head back to the room with the crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is. There's the big crystal glowing, sort of suspended from the ceiling in a strange way.
Mm-hmm. He's like, there's another door down that little corridor around the side. You know what? I'm gonna take the risk, and hopefully it won't do it twice. He's just gonna walk in again and try, and like he's not going to look at it. He's just going to kind of power walk past the big crystal and then towards that corner.
Okay. You walk towards the crystal. The crystal slightly dims a little bit when Fida gets near it. And as he passes it, it sort of picks back up in amplitude. You walk with confidence towards the door. Yeah, you see the same style handle that you saw on this door.
Oh, yeah. Pull it out, turn it 45 degrees, push it back in.
Yeah, you do so. And you open the door.
Nothing so special about me that only I can pull a handle and turn it 45 degrees, but I guess.
Inside this space, there are 4 canisters. These canisters are set against the wall. They look like medical laboratory pieces. The canisters are each about 4 or so feet tall by maybe about 2 to 3 feet wide, very similar to the crystal in that respect. Although this is definitely medical technology. These are machined parts. That is likely some form of glass that creates the tank for them. There's liquid inside of them, but there's also parts, biological parts.
Fida looks at them and he's like, are these human bits?
Fida, you're not terribly sure. That second canister definitely looks like a nervous system. A full nervous system. But that's not a human nervous system. It's got way too many major branches. Very distinctly, there are sort of smaller mimics of what appear to be the nerves around the shoulders and arms. The brain is also differently shaped, with many, many wrinkles. For those of you left in the room, there is a definite warmth that comes from being in the light of this crystal. It's not, we'll say it's maybe 2 to 3 temperatures, 2 to 3 degrees, give or take, right? So it's not terribly warmer in here, but it is somewhat. But it Fida seems to have passed by it without any issue. This room, for you, John, Fida sees like the lights begin turning on. Like as soon as you get the door open, machines start turning on.
You know, Fida thinks that's just normal. Lots of rooms have movement sensors. It's a very common technology. Yeah, he's just going to be like, well, that's all really weird. Should I build a builder so that they can do stuff?
We are not in the room with him, right?
You are not. No, you've not seen any of this.
I am standing there looking at the crystal, trying to figure out where it's getting its power source from, its interface, all that fun stuff. Because it's clearly, crystals can be used as a power source.
Depending upon the type of crystal they are, certainly. Although the ceiling does beg a whole lot of questions. What is that stuff that's on the ceiling that this crystal's adhered to? That's a little strange.
Yeah. So that's what she's doing. She's standing there looking up and very interested.
Okay.
Hey, Fida,
Yeah.
what's in there?
Seems to be some kind of medical room. I mean, it's definitely medical in nature. I don't know if it's like a first aid room.
I'm going to walk into the room with the crystal and then walk into the other room.
Okay, very good. So I would like you to make me a manipulation roll.
Both skill and thing, right? Okay.
Yep, manipulate. It's empathy.
So I'm going to give you a darkness point so I can reroll.
Okay.
Oh, that's already better. I got 2 successes.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and use a darkness point, and I'm going to double my dice pool.
No.
Teach you to be curious.
Sorry, y'all. I'll see you on the other side when you're all dead.
I'm going to give you 4 points of stress. You get hit by a beam of amber light directly center mass. Now, I don't know how many stress points you have total.
9.
Yeah. So 9 is your capacity until you pass out. That will give you a rough gauge of how much I actually do to you. But you get hit by this beam and you feel like a wave of exhaustion slam into your body.
Do I still make it to the room?
You fall down first
Okay.
as you're stunned for a round, technically. So this crystal shoots out an amber beam of light. It hits Kainat and she collapses.
I presume I hear a thud as she hits the ground.
Oh, yeah. You not only hear the thud, Vida, but you also feel the energy exchange in the room. Like you feel a surge of something happen behind you that is beyond your common sensory perceptions.
Yeah, he has an instinctual understanding of what's just happened and darts back around and is going to kneel beside her and start, put her in the recovery position.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows that she might go into shock and vomit and choke on her vomit.
Yeah, you grab her. You come to after a moment, kind of, and Vida has you, and the crystal seems to oscillate for a minute. Like it actually physically turns, and it bathes the both of them in this focused amber light, and then the crystal just goes clear. All of the amber light drops out of it.
I guess we used all the sustenance that it had. Once he makes sure that Kainat's okay, he's going to stand up. He's just like, well, I think it's safe.
Encouraging words. Take me to the flesh.
He's like, I mean, some of it is flesh, but you'll understand when you see. And he's going to kind of help her to her feet and then not put an arm around her, but he is going to steady her if she needs it as he walks her towards the medical room.
Okay.
I will gingerly follow, very carefully,
You are very careful.
keeping a side eye on that crystal.
So inside this space, for those who are coming with, you will see, Icarus is like, nope, I'm staying right here. You will see 4 tanks, right? One has a wide organ in it. It looks like it's some sort of brain. The second tank has a extensive nervous system. The fourth tank is obscured at this point. It's cloudy. But the third tank in line has what looks like it looks like almost like a hermit crab shell, like the top of one. And there's like a hole in it. It's silvery in color and has, in the center, seems to have 2 or 3 different golden colored circles. No idea what that's for, but there you go. The rest of it, as far as technological, is what looks like medical equipment or stuff for sustaining organs. So there's some sort of computer panel here that has a readout. Fortunately, it's not in a language that you understand. There are lights, but this is also a large space too. So this is probably 15 feet wide by about 30 feet deep, and it goes actually back towards the entrance direction rather than deeper into the facility.
Yeah, so as I said, it's kind of a medical room. I don't really know what they are. I was thinking maybe I should build one, but I don't think that would be a good idea. Just doesn't strike me as, the best use of our time.
Why is your first thought looking at these things? I should build an organic thing that is probably not quite human. Why is that your first thought, Fida? I have questions.
Is it because it has so many arms?
No, I think it's because, it's just a normal thing to think. You see a thing that's not working and you want to make it work. It's perfectly normal.
Out of flesh? Okay. That's good to know about you.
Maybe everything just fits together, Tamarisk.
Okay, at this point, Icarus is going to follow them into the room.
Because she's alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she in the room of Amber Light, she was alone because everybody else went with.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at all the tanks. Oh my God, what is that thing? Oh.
So I've been having some wild thoughts, and I am going to share them in case anyone else has had similar thoughts. Okay, so Fida?
Mm-hmm.
The directory.
I don't think it's a directory. I think it's a direct door.
I think it's a directory. It's giving you information. It's directing you. Whatever. Anyway, the important thing is that it was calling you a builder, like gate builder. And it was suggesting you can make more of them. If we can make gate builders, we can make more gates. We can stabilize them. We can improve travel, networking. That is the kind of power that would topple factions, that would justify so much as far as, people like our very dead employer were concerned. That's a resource that, if it's here, would be a huge military asset, which could be why our crew was given a ship like the Periphery with an AI like Recom and other military equipment like Ghost and probably some other things on the ship that we just haven't found because we weren't looking for them.
I mean, the ship's got a lot of systems. I think I know most of them now. I mean, we do have a heavy accelerator cannon. Is that what you mean? And a military-grade meme broadcaster.
Yeah. The stuff like that, Fida. So those are the things in my head. What is anyone else? I'm going to go hyperventilate in that corner.
We're not building anything. That's not our contract. Our contract is to gather the data and take it back.
And nobody said anybody needs to mention anybody being special in any way, or being able to open doors that other people couldn't in any way.
You hear a hysterical laughter. Anybody, body. Yeah, anybody special. Yeah, okay. Corner.
You don't think there's just going to be some kind of brouhaha when we show up? Hey, there's proof of alien existence and maybe portal builders, and this is going to change everything, right? We are going to be in so much trouble if anybody finds out about this. And it could, do you think, have something to do with what happened to our employer if someone found out this is what she was looking for?
By all the icons, all 9 of them. Yes, I think that's exactly what happened. I think that freaking corpseified whatever that climbed out and killed her probably had something to do with this too.
That seems like a wild jump.
How?
They wouldn't have just killed her. They would have killed the entire... Well, they did. On the video. There was more than Marhoon that was killed. All right, the contract was given to somebody. We don't know who it was. We still need to fulfill our contract. So they want something.
How is this idea any wilder than the one person, and she gestures at Fighter, the one person that can activate these systems ending up here?
I'm not the one person that can activate. That's crazy. I mean, look, you guys just didn't try opening the doors. What do you want? You're the one that activated the director.
To be fair, the captain also opened the first door.
I'm not a builder. And when he says builder, he means, or they mean, portal builder.
How do we know that?
That is a bit of a leap, Captain. Do you think they called themselves the portal builders?
They probably... Have you met humans? Humans like to call themselves all sorts of things.
But they're not human. That's the whole point. There's something completely else.
But I thought the portal builders were human, though.
We don't know that. We don't know anything about them. We don't even know if these beings were the portal builders. All we know is we have alien existence here.
By all accounts, there's no evidence that portal builders were human. While they did make structures, some of which are still known and seen today, there's no actual evidence that they were human in any way, shape, or form, other than to say that some of the things they made were human-sized, given some of the technologies and buildings which have been found. But the portals themselves are massive.
It's true. So the researchers believed that they were an ancient human civilization. That doesn't mean that they were. They could all, the researchers. I mean, they could be forearmed. Okay, so what does everybody want to do?
Keep looking through, I suppose, if we're going to fulfill our contract. If that's what we're going to do, that's what we're going to do. At least we know the doors can open as long as we keep Fida alive.
I'm glad you have an incentive. And he just kind of nods and he's sitting, like leaning against the wall. He's just like, yep, glad to hear there's a reason to keep me alive. Maybe the implication of there mightn't have been one earlier, beyond friendship.
Fida, you'd notice that there is an exit at the back of the room.
Oh, yeah.
And actually a wide one.
I think that door might... And he's kind of like, I don't know where it's going to lead, but I think it's worth checking anyway. Permission to open the door, Captain?
Might as well. We've come this far.
He just strolls over. I assume it has the same mechanism as the others?
It actually doesn't. You stroll over to this wider door, and when you get close to it, it raises from floor to ceiling.
Yeah, he's just like, see, it's a motion sensor, that's all.
Does his arm glow blue or the tattoos move?
Nope.
He's like, look, I walked in the room, the lights came on, but our ship does that. He doesn't do it because I'm special. He does it because he's polite.
So across from you, across from this doorway opening, there is another door. You actually step out into a long hallway, which stretches from one end to quite a ways down. The hallway's probably about 50 feet. Doors on either side of there's 3 more doors, 2 on the right and 1 on the left, and then it looks like it gets to a T-junction. That's about where you lose sight of things.
What kind of material is it still like the bare stone?
It's given away a little bit to what looks like machined materials or produced materials, right? So less stone and more of probably a hardened ceramic feel to it.
Yeah, he's kind of touchy and he's like, probably that, yeah. Probably hardened ceramic, but maybe it's some kind of other alloy. And he's just like, okay, there's a corridor and more doors. Ends in a T-junction. Do you want me to walk down the corridor, or...?
I'm right behind Fida. Yeah, let's continue on.
Okay.
He's going to come to the first door that's in this corridor, and he's just going
to... It has a gear lever on it.
Captain, could you do me a favor? Try and pull that out. And he points at it. And he's like, turn it 45 degrees clockwise and then push it back in.
Yeah, I put my hand on it and try to do that.
You put your hand on it and pull it out. It is really tough to pull. There's a lot of sort of force you have to put behind it. But you eventually get it to snap into the outer position, and you can turn and wind it. You see, Fida, that it takes the captain a considerable amount of force to actually turn it over.
Yeah, but I mean, that's nothing to worry about. That's just a stiff door handle. We all seen one of those. Yeah, and he's just like, yeah, see, now you just drive it back in.
And I try to do that.
You are able to, after a moment, push heavily against it to go back into place. Once it does so, it swings open. This space in here, as the lights come on, there are several long tables in here. Perhaps it's a classroom or an eatery of some sort. You do see something interesting at the back of the space. It's sort of indented into the wall. There's a rectangular indent in the back of the wall, which seems to have something scooped out of it, like a section of material is scooped out of it. And there does seem to be what looks like a faucet.
Well, so we've proven that I'm not the only one that can open doors. So that's great. And, big weird old room.
How many hours have we been in here?
I mean, not even an hour at this point.
Oh, okay. Is there any other panels on the wall or anything in the room besides that?
There's no cupboards or there's not even counters, which we consider countertops. But there does seem to be something back there that looks like a faucet.
Fight is going to go down there and he's going to try and look at that material that's got the scoop taken out of it and like give it a poke.
Yeah, it looks like someone carved out a space here to make a faucet of some sort. Like you get close to it.
It's just a kind of a receptacle for the faucet to be in.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I wonder if it still works. And he just turns it anti-clockwise.
Yeah. It turns. Liquid begins pouring out of it.
I take a sniff.
You don't smell anything at all.
Yeah. He's like, well, it doesn't smell stale or some of it has landed on his left palm. He just dips his right finger in it and kind of like taps it against his tongue.
Tastes like water.
He's like, yeah, I think it's clean drinking water. There might be a spring. Rubs the wet hand on his face.
That's good to know if we can't find our way out of here. At least we have water.
Yeah.
Is there any screens or anything in there, like a view screen? Because there was a mention that it is set up like a classroom.
No, you don't see a view screen. You don't see a ton of technology at all in this space.
All right. On to the next room.
Okay. On to the next room. These rooms seem to have larger, what could serve as a bed in them. There's two per. So there's two of these rooms on the right-hand side have two large slabs. You would say about as big as a king-size bed.
Or one really large bean.
Yep. If you continue down the pathway, or this passageway, you get to the T-junction. When you look left, you see the doors that you first came in when you entered the space. If you look right, it's only a little bit of ways to go here. So a couple feet, and then you can look down another very long hallway, and you see 8 doors, 4 on each side. And then at the end of this hallway, there is a circular end to the hall, right? Sort of ends in an archway. And there is something in that archway on the floor. Large, circular, metallic.
Large, circular, metallic. Flat like a disc or big like a sphere?
Flatter, more like a disc, but a thick disc.
So like a stubby cylinder, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's like, well, look, Captain, the job's to explore the place and report back. If you want, I think we can look around. I mean, that's the door we came in, so it shouldn't be too much trouble to just pop down here and see what's in these rooms and whatever that is, and then leave.
Okay.
I think that would be most the facility checked, so.
It sounds efficient.
Okay. So these 4 doors on the left-hand side and the 4 on the right-hand side, these doors, 8 in total, have very similar spaces and rooms inside of them. They look like smaller versions of the rooms that you'd passed earlier with the 2 large slabs in them. These have single slabs. They're probably no bigger than, say, a queen-size bed. And there seem to be water receptacles in each one. And then there looks like each one has some sort of table that is melded into the wall, right? So it sort of appears out of the wall rather than being a set piece of structural furniture. It's just built into the wall. There's just a place where you could set something. Each of them have that until you get to the end of the hallway, and there's that arch that sort of, it's about 9 or so feet tall, and then there's this disc space on the ground, and that's definitely some sort of machine. Has lights, everything.
As we've been walking along, Fight is kind of like, they were able to put their nervous systems directly, they were able to replace them, I think. That's a terrifyingly advanced thing to be able to do. He's just he's been thinking about just the sheer bloody-minded technology behind all of it, and just the amount of energy required to make all these rooms from rock. And he's like, normally if it was humans, we'd just take an existing cavern or, detonate a cavern, whatever, and then we'd build a structure inside it. Whereas this seems to be burrowed through the rock, and then they put some covers over it to stop the dust from getting up almost. The scale of what he's been seeing is starting to sink in. And he's just like, this is fucking weird. So he's going to examine the machine. So as a cylinder, how tall, how wide?
As a cylinder is probably 9 or so feet tall. Wide, it's probably about 5 feet.
Okay. He's like, this is really big. And he's going to kind of just put his hand against it.
Okay. So, John, I'm going to have you roll me empathy and mystic powers.
Can do. Yeah, I've had him the whole time. I didn't even mention it. All right, Mike, 2 successes.
Fantastic. Yeah, you know what this is.
Oh, this is another status thing, isn't it?
You know what this is. This is a lift.
He's just like, well, Captain, I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is I know exactly what this is. The bad news is that we're not finished exploring.
What is it?
This is a personnel and goods lift. It goes up and down.
Is there a hole on the ceiling?
No, there isn't. The ceiling goes up about 9 or so. It ends in sort of this conical shape.
Oh, does that mean it goes down?
Presumably, Captain. We did walk up a reasonable amount of stairs to get to here. So, it's fair to imagine that it goes at least that far down.
Yep, that explains why there were footprints in, but no footprints out, because somebody else might have also found the lift.
Yeah. And he's just his hand's against it. He's just looking at it as he talks to you. And he's just like, I'm not sure that I could work it, but it's a fairly normal bit of infrastructure for a building to have. So there must be a way to interact with it.
Well, the facility seems to like you a lot, Fida.
You're very kind, Captain. He's just going to go around it, Mike, and try and figure out if he can make it work.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All you'd have to do is make sure that the pad stays level, and then you need to be, what position point you need to be in to operate the machinery. You just have to have proper counterweights. And luckily for you, you can put yourself into a pentagram pattern and level out the floor.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, well, I weigh the most. I'm going to stand here, and Icarus will be beside me. Captain and Tamarisk, you'll be across from me, and you're going to hold my tools. And then, Kainat, I think if you go here to the center point, up here at the top, then we should be fairly balanced as far as the load goes. And we should be able to go on down.
Icarus follows your directions, but she's just staring down the hall at the beds and the sinks and says out loud, I think it's an assembly line. I think the goods were the personnel.
Bioengineering is a thing. There's a lot of ethical quandaries around it, but it's not really something that, it's kind of frowned upon in the third horizon,
Well, this would have been way before.
before we even existed.
Yeah, apparently whoever was here first didn't have quite the same concern or compunction.
Well, it could have been normal for them. We don't know anything about them. Anyway, stand still, everybody. And there's no safety rails on this, so I hope you all don't. I think this should make it work, and we can go a bit deeper.
Before you're prepared for what happens, it happens. The floor moves down, and at a furious pace. That is where we'll call this episode to a close. So I look forward to our continuing adventures here on Menkar next time. Thank you very much for joining us, and wish the crew good luck.